morning, Wrestling Inc. Get up, get going. It is me, your managing editor of WrestlingInc.com, Nick Hausman, joined here as I am every Wednesday to talk the top pro wrestling news the past 24 hours. It's our good friend, comedian Brian Wohl. Brian, welcome back to the Wrestling Inc. Daily.
Great to be here. Good morning, Nick.
Yes, good morning to you. I just poured myself a cup of coffee. My energy will rise here over the next 40 minutes or so. Well, we got a big show here planned for everybody today. Huge interview. I'm very proud of this one. Before we get to anything going on here, I want to start the show out by sending our regards to the friends, the family, the fans of the assassin, Jody Hamilton. Now, I was not, I mean, again, it's the era kind of just before us. I obviously very saddened by the loss. I know of Jody, right? But if you are looking for a really kind of an emotional connection with Jody and really nice tribute to Jody, cheap plug, Pro Wrestling for Life with me and Sean Waltman dropped today. Sean was a huge fan and a friend of Jody Hamilton. He got the news moments before we went to record, requested we start the show off with him getting to send his sentiments out to the family of Jody. It's a really powerful tribute. And so if you're looking for something really meaningful regarding Jody, I would highly suggest checking that out. But Brian, I mean, is there anything you want to say about the passing here of legendary masked villain, the assassin, Jody Hamilton?
You know, I haven't been able to catch any assassin matches, but I have seen a lot of matches refereed by his son, Nick Patrick.
That is true. A lot of people don't know that.
Yeah. Referee Nick Patrick is the son of Jody Hamilton. Yeah. So my heart goes out to Nick and their family. And and also Jody Hamilton, I read, ran OVW for a little bit.
It did, yeah. Had connections with Deep South, ran the WCW power plant. I mean, he was a big part of the business, right? Again, it's just like my familiarity with his work. Not as much because, again, he was just, a generation maybe or a generation and a half before my time.
But he influenced so many of our favorite wrestlers. So very, very cool.
All right. Well, sending our best to the family of Jody. Big show here. The chat room is open, as you can see. Everybody here saying good morning. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, afternoon. I just threw up a bunch of chats all at once there. If you want to engage this show as we go along, please do jump in the chat room. I will pull your comments. I will put them up as part of the show here today. Also, if you like the show, give us thumbs up. Give us happy faces, sad faces, fist bumps, emoji, whatever you like. All that stuff really helps us out. You can also just give us a thumbs up over on the YouTube channel if you're watching us over there. We have here, of course, the news of the day we'll get to in just a moment. Later on after the news, if you're listening in audio form, you're going to get my conversation of the day. Today, I'm going to be airing part 2 of my conversation with Tucker. Now, we aired the last part of this Tucker interview about a month ago. All right, it's been a while. I had kind of forgotten what was in part 2. And then I started listening to it back this morning so I could assign posts, and holy hell, I don't know how I sat on this thing for so long. 2 weeks in Saudi Arabia, the whole Crown Jewel incident, what it was like to be on the ground there, if he'd go back to Saudi Arabia, Otis getting pushed as a single star, what it was like emotionally for him to be in that position of you're in this tag team, you love your friend, and all of a sudden the boss takes a shining to him and you kind of take a back seat. What is that like? So very great interview with Tucker. That will also premiere over on the Wrestling Inc. YouTube channel at 1 p.m. Eastern. If you want to watch it over there, just like this, you can jump in a chat room, talk along. But we got Tucker in the house today. So 6 rings, baby. This is all for you. Okay? I know you're a big fan. Anyway.
Wow. Oh, my goodness. I'm so fascinated to hear about the Crown Jewel stuff. All the Saudi stuff I'm fascinated about. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, there's a good 12 minutes, meaty 12 minutes here, Brian. Right off the top, we get right to it. So anyway, go check that out. And then at the end of the show for everybody, we will dive in the mailbag. We're going to look at who you think is the best tag team in AEW, which brings us into some news you can use. News will leave a bruise. Rather bruising news here, and it does involve AEW's tag team division. This has been, it was tough because everything on the run sheet today, Brian, got a fair amount of traction on the website. I'd say quite a bit of traction. But this thing really grabbed people and got a lot of attention, so we're going to lead off with it here today. AEW received backlash on social media for Max Caster's, of the acclaimed, Max Caster's latest rap that aired on this week's AEW Dark episode. while the rap was shown during the original airing. So it did originally get released. The episode then had to be re-uploaded with the Acclaim's entrance edited out. Caster rapped one of the lines here. Acclaimed kicking ass for miles, make you claim mental health like Simone Biles. Well, let's take these one at a time, Brian. Ragging Simone Biles for struggling with the twisties and mental health issues. What an asshole thing to do, right?
Yeah. I mean, you could file it under he's a heel, but after watching, after learning all this stuff that we've learned, seeing all the things that we saw, and also seeing how people reacted over the past week, AEW had a week to edit this out. And I can understand Max Caster trying things, but gosh,
it is.
Yeah. I want to try to be empathetic towards somebody creating things.
All right.
But
that would be alone very bad, right?
Yeah.
But then he continues. He delivers a line that referenced the 2006 Duke lacrosse scandal, where 3 members of Duke University's men's lacrosse team were declared to be falsely accused of rape in Durham, North Carolina. Why you would do that, I don't know, but he raps, the Seidel's going to pay the cost. I'm going to treat those bitches like Duke lacrosse. Who did Don Callis write this? Like, who wrote this?
I mean, this is now you're like bringing up something from the past. This is way out of the news cycle. This isn't like a current event. You bring this into a wrestling show. We're trying to enjoy a wrestling match, and now I got to think about Duke lacrosse and all this stuff that happened years ago. Why is this on my wrestling? Get it out of my wrestling.
So right. So we've bounced now from ragging people with mental health. Now we're playfully talking about rape allegations. So then came this line that made reference to Julia Hart, the manager for the Varsity Blondes, who they were going to be going up against. He says, the Blondes say they the best, but those dudes are faker than a PCR test. And what's that smell here in North Carolina? Oh, that's just Julia's. And then they go, oh, and apparently the PCR line is a reference to COVID-19 testing. So is he saying that AEW's PCR tests, or I don't know what they use, but don't work, or that those are fake, or he doesn't believe in COVID? Like, what is he saying here?
So there is what they were doing is perpetuating a thing that's been going around online, saying that the PCR tests are unreliable and that PCR tests are confusing COVID with the flu. You can look on any reputable news source. You can even check factcheck.org or Snopes. This is false. Max is perpetuating false information that he read online in his rap. This is so bogus, and like I said, I want to be empathetic to an artist trying things, but this is ridiculous.
Dude,
then also the fact that they left it in until finally they were like, oh, when? I can't believe I forgot. We're being critical here because also we've been so critical of WWE. If WWE did this, we'd say, oh, it's the left hand not talking to the right hand again.
This ain't going to happen in WWE. I don't think this thing would have made it. See, here's the thing. So
it's crazy.
Sherrod Jones, you're saying, I don't know why it's taking AEW so long to suspend him. But I think that Brian Bill's 1417 here making a good point. This entire rap had no reason to make air. These things should be cleared ahead of time. And that's the real thing here is like, yeah, Max Caster did this thing, but Max Caster's thing was approved. Max Caster's thing was edited. Max Caster's thing was produced. There were multiple people that had eyes and ears on this and didn't see it. This reminds me of when Jim Cornette did the NWA commentary.
Yes. Oh my God. I was thinking of that too this morning. I remember that basically took down NWA Power. Everybody stopped watching.
It did. How Billy found his groove back, I don't know. But because I forget exactly what Jim said, but it was like, oh, it was the chicken thing. It was like a black people fried chicken comment that was like really, really wrong. And that was pre-taped. This was pre-taped. Should Max be punished? Yes, but I think you got to go down the line. And I would have loved for this to have come out before Cody's media call yesterday, so we could get an idea of what that creative process looks like. Like, is nobody consulting Max? Again, this feels like Don Callis saying this is a really good idea. I can't imagine who else back there would feel this way towards women. And if it's multiple people, that's an even bigger issue. I feel bad for Julia Hart, 19 years old, right? And back to the Attitude Era style of the way we talk to women. Really rough spot for her. What kind of a message does it send to the women of AEW in general? Because I go back to the Sammy Guevara stuff, the rape joke he made about Sasha Banks, right? And he was suspended, and he had to go to therapy, and he had to do classes and pay a fine, and then come back. And that was like akin, I think, to some of what we're hearing here from Max Caster. Is it a cultural thing at AEW where this boys club seems to think that saying these things or spreading these kinds of thoughts out there is appropriate and okay in that environment?
Yeah, it's cheap hack jokes. Don't need it. Don't need it on a wrestling show.
Yeah.
Not necessary.
Yeah, and wow. And Christopher Strike saying, not to mention this was a show that was a charity event for sexual violence victims.
Right?
What?
And this all got approved. And it all got approved. You're like, come on, man. So it's not just Max Caster's fault. This is a full company-wide thing. And they, I don't know. HR has got to take some time.
We have, I'll read King Rails here, the other side of it, this era, and I saw a couple people saying this era is so soft. Cena would say some questionable stuff. I'm black and love hip-hop, also struggled with depression when I was young. I didn't find it offensive at rap, not opera, and I just disagree with you, King Rail. Like, I think that there's stuff in here that let's go to, again, the laundry list here of things that Max Caster made reference to, all right? Ragging people for mental illness. That's one bucket. Rape victims. That is another bucket here, right? And then just like the general sexualization of a 19-year-old who probably didn't want to be put into that position. Its own all kind of kettle of fish. There's and the COVID disinformation. All of that in like 15 seconds, Brian. Oh my God.
Yeah, Cena never really put out any COVID misinformation. But like, also, yeah, people did cheer that stuff 15, 20 years ago, but we've learned things since then. It's okay to evolve and try and be a better person, man.
Yeah,
like,
and I get it. Like, Brian, we were Chicago comedians, improvisers at a time, and like the culture that we were brought in Chicago, the Jimmy Carrane, Mick Napier, Susan Messing vein was push the envelope, right? Go out. What is entertainment, right? Entertainment is showing people something they're not going to be able to see in their everyday life, right? You can do a great scene about, the lettuce farm, or you could be struggling with abortion at the clinic, right? Raise the stakes, find what, right? But I, at least at one point, clearly crossed the line at a show one time because I felt like I was being pushed in a direction to keep raising those stakes. And I said something, or I did a scene that triggered a PTSD victim in the audience and gave them, they went into seizures and had to be escorted out of the building. And I had to have a very long talk about why what I had said not only offended somebody, but, took them to the hospital. Words have, and, I get what it's like to be in that space where you want to push that envelope and, tackle things that others wouldn't. But I'll tell you firsthand, you can get to a point where you definitely do it wrong and you start to learn those guardrails. And I do hope I don't think Max Caster should be canceled or whatever.
No.
A lot of people approved what he said. Those people should be reprimanded as well. Max should be reprimanded just like Sammy Guevara does. Teaching experience, but I do question what the culture is there that allowed this to happen, Brian.
Yeah. We, as information comes to light, we grow and evolve, and wrestling needs to evolve too. And also we got to think, like, what kind of stuff do we want on our wrestling show? What kind of people do we want on our wrestling show? how is someone like Julia Hart going to feel welcome when we keep talking about sexualizing her instead of letting her be a wrestler?
Yeah.
You know, be a valet, do her thing.
Yeah.
You know.
So anyway, culture needs to be addressed. This doesn't happen in a vacuum. Okay.
Yeah.
But some positive AEW tag team news, which spawned my poll question here later. Who's your favorite AEW tag team? Maybe your soon-to-be favorite AEW tag team could be the former Everrise. Apparently, Everrise is going to debut on Dynamite tonight. AEW has announced that Matt Lee, a.k.a. formerly Matt Martell, and Jeff Parker, formerly Chase Parker, are going to go by the name 2.0. They've officially joined the company. They've aligned with Daniel Garcia. They're going to go up against, and this is a big debut, Jon Moxley, Darby Allin, and Eddie Kingston in six-man action tomorrow night. I am so happy for these guys, Brian. What a missed opportunity in NXT, I feel like, with these guys.
I love that AEW is putting them right out front. I think this is so cool. It's clear that so many of us NXT fans have been big fans of Everrise. They were so popular with all of us that watch NXT. And now we get to see them on Dynamite, and I think they're going to get a great opportunity to shine right here. This is amazing.
Yeah, I'm thrilled for them. So funny, man. Like everything they were doing, Hit Row Records
Yeah.
stuff down in NXT. They were so good. And I think that one of the reasons, well, two things I thought about. First, they kind of dress like the Young Bucks in NXT.
Yeah, you're right.
I thought it was funny that they got hired because I was like, oh wow, they're like the thicker Young Bucks. And the other thing I thought that why they were a good fit for AEW is as soon as they got released, they went right back to doing their morning talk show thing, engaging their fans, keeping their base engaged with them. They understand that game, and people that understand that game are right on top of AEW's radar. Of all the big names that are available right now, I think it is interesting that AEW picked up Everrise and really see something in them because we didn't really get to see a whole lot from Everrise in NXT. I'm very interested to see what AEW does with them.
Oh yeah. I mean, everybody loves someone who self-produces their work. That's why I'm kind of surprised that they didn't snatch up Zack Ryder even quicker, Matt Cardona, because that's another guy that generates content for himself. It's self-starters, man. It's the way to go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so very happy for them. Now this next story here made me, I don't know. We'll talk about it. Ronda Rousey, she tweeted out the following about Bray Wyatt's release. This got a lot of attention. She says, "I've seen you same quote fans chanting 'We want Wyatt' last night, chanting 'We want beach balls' over Bray Wyatt performing. If the WWE treated him like he was expendable, it was because you ungrateful idiots did first." Now, Rousey actually came out and was like pro Simone Biles. And I was a little surprised by that because I think Ronda has a real bad tendency of putting her foot in her mouth. It lasted 48 hours, Brian. I hate this comment. I'll tell you why, but what did you think of what Ronda had to say?
Oh, I can't stand it too. To me, you know, when I took marketing classes in college, they always said an engaged consumer is ideal. It's the company's job to keep that engagement and curb it to their will in an organic fashion to the point where it feels like it was the consumer's idea. So if somebody's complaining at your restaurant, they're taking the time to tell you that they like your restaurant except for this thing. And it's the restaurant's job to turn that customer, that engagement, into a lifetime customer. And you know, WWE always has that opportunity. Each superstar has that opportunity. And right here we see Ronda Rousey saying, "Well, whatever, go away, go somewhere else." And you know what? We will.
Ronda Rousey is projecting so hard. I have never, and I don't want to bully Ronda Rousey, but I've never seen a tougher individual be so absolutely insecure and emotionally vulnerable in my entire life. Ronda Rousey was visibly upset when the fans started booing her and cheering Becky Lynch going into WrestleMania. She was so upset because her lack of charisma and ability to connect did not fit with the wrestling fans. And beloved UFC Hall of Famer Ronda Rousey didn't get the reaction Ronda Rousey wanted to get in WWE. All right. Ronda Rousey, I have felt for a while, and I think she proved it with this tweet, hates wrestling fans now. I don't know if she'll come back to wrestling, but she is so upset that people didn't love her the way she thought she would be loved in WWE. And she is now using Bray Wyatt. She's hiding behind Bray Wyatt's release to rag on wrestling fans. It is, I don't know, man. I read this. I was just like, oh my God. Ronda Rousey is projecting so hard here. So hard in this tweet. I have no idea what she was thinking putting it out. That was my take.
I used to think that when she talked like this and tweeted like this, it was a work. But now I realize she's not working. She is just, this is real.
I remember that. I remember those rumors too. Like Paul Heyman's telling her to go out there and shoot on the wrestling fans, right? Really?
Yeah, I thought, maybe that's it.
No, dude. I can read people. I read people like other people read books because I don't read books. All right. Sometimes I do, but I mostly read people. All right, and I watch drama and comedies. Look, the moment she came out there, she had her belt, and she's trying to be Ronda Rousey and get everyone to love her, and everyone's like, "No, we love Becky Lynch." She lost her shine, And I had heard that there were women in the back that did not enjoy working with Ronda Rousey. Her attitude changed, like whatever. I mean, does she come back? Maybe. I don't know, but I really feel in my cockles and subcockles that Ronda Rousey has if she could take every wrestling fan and put them in a cage and one at a time, kick the shit out of them, she probably would. I really think that she has a disdain for wrestling fans.
Man, she got you right down to the cockles.
Yeah, man, I'm sorry. I don't usually like double Nick's going in. Wait, what? Huh? Yeah, Nick is cooking. Sorry. Ronda, I gave her praise when she said the Simone Biles stuff. I was like, wow, this is really a different side of Ronda Rousey, right? Like we're seeing a Ronda that is empathetic and progressive, right? And then she goes right back to this, like whining about wrestling fans and blaming them for Bray Wyatt's release. And I did an interview last night with Stu Myrick for his outlet down in Texas. And he asked me about the releases and Bray's release. And he actually kind of framed it in a way where it actually resonated with me talking to Stu. So I'll give Stu partial credit on this one. But it really just looks like if you have a big downside guarantee and you negotiated your deal in the last 2 years, doesn't matter who you are, unless maybe you're Roman or I guess Charlotte, you're on the list, right? The 205 Live guys, those guys should have had NXT deals in Nick Khan's opinion, I'm sure, right? And I'm trying to look at this pragmatically. I don't think it's Ronda. I don't think it's because the fans were chanting for beach balls. I think it's because Nick Khan just saw a really big number in the downside guarantee column for Bray Wyatt and said, cut him. Maybe we can work out a better deal. Who gives a shit if he goes to AEW? I really think that's all it is.
Yeah. And, one of the most recent stories on WrestlingInc.com right now is that WWE had Bray Wyatt merch on sale in the Allstate Arena during Raw. So maybe some of those fans were like, hey, thinking of Bray Wyatt. Well, it's right there. What do you want? The company's putting it out there. And when you have the option of doing anything with the amazing talented roster that WWE has, and then they trot out someone like Jackson Riker, come on, man. What are people supposed to do? You think they're supposed to be excited?
All right. Gonna move off the Ronda Rousey thing. And I wasn't that raw. And it was funny with the Bray Wyatt merch because it was one of the first things. Somebody came up to me and they're like, dude, did you see they're selling Bray Wyatt merch here? And I was like, oh, well, that makes sense. It's fire sale. I wish I could have got some, dude. Like I complained about this to EJ yesterday, but I don't know if like Allstate doesn't have all their staff back because of the pandemic or what. But the lines at Allstate on Monday were atrociously long. Merch, food, beer. I would have loved to have bought a Bray Wyatt shirt because of the irony, but couldn't get to one. Brian. So anyway.
Yeah.
All right. Moving on here. Big updates on a couple names that are maybe not going to be with the company here in the near future. We'll find out. Fightful reporting, word now is that Adam Cole has not been formally offered a new full-on contract by WWE as of yesterday. Now, a source of influence within WWE did note that a new contract offer is, quote, obviously planned. It was noted that most people within the company, including Cole, had hoped to keep the contract situation quiet, and it seemed there was an understanding that the situation would be kept close to the vest among those in the know. Other people in WWE, when finding out the contract situation, reportedly argued that the contract possibly expiring should be publicized, considering the current competitive nature of the pro wrestling world. So what is this, like a Summer of Punk thing where maybe they thought like the tease of, is Adam staying, is he going, is that would be good for their business? I'm a little confused by the last line in that report, Brian.
I don't get it. I don't get it at all. I don't get anything with this Adam Cole stuff. I feel like this dude is somebody that could be a top guy immediately if the WWE let him. You know, you can go back to the November 1st SmackDown 2019 when he faced Daniel Bryan for the NXT Championship, and it was a stellar match. You see him against, one of the top stars WWE's had over the last decade, and it was amazing. The crowd loves him. I don't get it. I don't get any of this.
Yeah. Antonio Garcia here saying if they're not gonna move Adam Cole to the main roster, it's time to let him go. He has done a lot in NXT. I think maybe has ridden his path. I think that if I'm Adam Cole, and I don't know what WWE's, here's what I'll say. If I'm Adam Cole, I go to AEW for a variety of reasons, right? You could go over, you could build more value. I think that he would be put immediately into a top tier for that company. If CM Punk and Daniel Bryan are on the horizon, and you can have matches with those guys, Jon Moxley, your girlfriend Britt Baker is there, all huge pluses to make that leap. And I definitely think that Tony Khan is interested because he cut that promo 2 weeks ago after Dynamite saying this isn't a performance center, this is a showcase for the greatest wrestlers in the world. And I think that was tailored for Adam Cole. I think that line from Tony was directly towards Adam Cole. But let's say WWE does make a great deal for him, Brian, right? We're going to pay you twice the amount of money. We're going to put you on Raw. We'll give you merchandise benefits. That all sounds great. But Brian, do you really want to trust a company right now that is showing that if you make a good deal with them in a year or so, they may just decide to go back on that deal? It just doesn't seem like a good time to be making a deal with WWE.
I don't know how anyone can trust them right now.
That's a way bigger thing, right? Like the fact, maybe WWE will offer them more money. Sounds great, but then you look at what happened to the people who got that big money from WWE. They're all getting fired right now,
Yeah. I don't know. I think WWE's credibility is completely shot right now. And I don't know how they can revive it. How can you get that good faith back? I don't know. It just, they feel like a soulless corporation, and they will just chew you up and spit you out. That's what it feels like right now. That may not be the truth, but they're definitely making it seem like it.
We'll read some comments here. Daniel Price, Cole staying or going isn't of any big interest to anyone except those in the wrestling bubble. No casuals or mainstream media cares, but that's because that's how he's been presented in WWE, right?
100%. I don't know. When I go to arenas and Adam Cole's there, everybody shouts out, "Adam Cole, baby." The sound is there. Yeah, so man. I don't know what you're hearing, because when I'm in the arena, that people react to that guy.
We have here Chaz Shaw. Cole should dethrone the head of the table, but he won't. I think that's probably a fair bet. Rob Humphrey here saying working with your girlfriend isn't a great selling point. Rob, I mean, I don't know what your relationship's like, or if you have one, man, but sounds like a
dude problem. Wrestlers travel with their partners all the time. They put them on the same roster on WWE SmackDown and WWE Raw, so that people can travel together and be together. Otherwise, you don't see each other. So that's how it goes, man.
King Rail here saying, I think they are just letting people go so they can come back like Drew did. And that's a motivating factor, but it was a different time because AEW didn't exist and Drew was just working to get back to WWE. Very different now. If these talents go out and they find, homes elsewhere, I don't know how long it is till they come back anymore. So, all right. We have an update here on Ric Flair, Richard Flair. He issued the following statement yesterday regarding his WWE release. He capitalizes every word, right? I don't know why. That's just Rick says, I'm officially able to respond to all the press related to my requested release from WWE, which they have given me. So first of all, confirming he requested it. I want to make it really clear with everyone that I'm not upset with WWE at all. They solely are responsible for putting me in the position of life that I'm in right now, where I'm seen in the brightest light ever. We have a different vision for my future. I wish them nothing but continued success. Thank you for everything. Nothing but respect. He also then spoke to People Magazine and said it was mutually agreed upon. It was a mutually agreed upon decision. I'll be moving forward to pursue other exciting endeavors, such as my own line of wine, my own network, as well as comic books. I have to make this decision personally for my business and my brand. And this is more in line with what I expected. Rick's not saying I'm going to go wrestle, be part of wrestling. Rick just has other things in his life. He's a busy guy right now. He's in demand.
Yeah. I mean, he's showing up in rap videos. People love him. Put him in different commercials. So many different third-party agreements that Rick can have that WWE isn't into right now.
Mm-hmm. We have now a situation where Ric Flair is going to create a network. I don't know what that is. I don't know what that looks like. A social network, a news network. I love the idea of Ric Flair doing the nightly news. That could be interesting.
I don't know. I'd watch it. At least once.
We have Dave in here. He's actually doing WWE a favor since he'll be canceled after Dark Side of the Ring episode on Plane Ride from Hell. I don't know about that, but I am very interested to see the fallout because that Plane Ride from Hell thing, man, I have heard some stories about what went on that flight, and some of them are like criminal.
Yeah. But I don't know. Ric Flair hasn't been canceled yet, so you never know.
Alonzo Smith saying Ric Flair drip, great song. It is.
It is a great song.
All right. Well, we have two things here before we get to part 2 of my interview with Tucker, and then we'll talk about AEW's tag division a bit. Former WWE superstar Ruby Riott, now Ruby Soho, badass name.
Which is so cool.
She tweeted out this picture of her new look. It appears she's now sporting a cropped, bright red hair. And, of course, at WWE, she had green hair. She cut it short in late 2020, but great look, cool photo. I can't wait to see where she pops up next. She's going to be a big talent for wherever she winds up.
Yeah, I love watching her wrestle. She's a great star.
Yeah. And lastly here, before we get to part 2 of Tucker, the Such Good Shit podcast, which I'm guessing is a marijuana podcast of sorts, which is they had The Godfather on, Charles Wright. And in what is the top news item on the site right now, The Godfather revealed that The Rock stopped riding with him in the 90s because he would always smell like weed. And The Rock didn't want to smell like weed everywhere he went. And that is why. And then he's like, so I started riding with Ron Simmons and JBL, who I guess don't care that he's got bleezies going all the time. And, he changed up his riding situation.
I think that's fair. I don't blame The Rock. And I also don't blame JBL and Ron Simmons for riding with Godfather.
I love that story.
I think one of my favorite things that I read in that story was that The Rock refers to Godfather as Papa for Papa Shango. I love the idea that people just call Godfather Papa.
Yeah, or I think Bear. I think is his other
Bear. Name. Yeah. Oh, big old bear.
All right. Well, Brian, thank you for joining me at the Top Show Talk All the News today. Thank you to all the wonderful people who commented, and to those that took positions that I don't disagree with. I didn't mute or block you, but please try to think more deeply about what conversations we're having here and the effects of words on people, please. All right. We're gonna. And by the way, thank you to Tucker. what an incredible second part of that conversation. Again, if you're watching this in video form, 20 minutes from now, it's going to premiere over on Wrestling Inc. YouTube channel. Really, really great watch. All right. At Wink Daily, that's the Twitter account to follow if you want to vote in our daily polls. Today, we have 1,143 followers. You could be lucky number 1,144. That's a very special number. So if you go follow us right now, you can be 1144. Big deal. Okay, so my question today, what is the best tag team in AEW? Is it the Young Bucks, FTR, Varsity Blondes, or somebody else? 353 votes we have as of right now. 45.3 for the Young Bucks, 37.4 for FTR, 10.5 somebody else, and only 6.8 for the Varsity Blondes. For your money, Brian, who's the best tag team in AEW right now?
Hard to argue against the Young Bucks. Also love FTR. But man, how great that AEW has a thriving tag division. When I see indie shows, tag matches are my favorite things to watch. I love tag team wrestling. And so AEW is the spot for me.
6 Rings 9880. Luther and that snake dude. His name is Sergio. Okay. The Bus Cat. FTR or Lucha Bros. The Blondes maybe in a few years. Mark at Mark C 85.6. Proud Powerful may be my favorite tag team.
They're so great
in AEW. Or I guess no, they're not New LAX. I think New LAX is an MLW right now, but they do have Conan and our LAX. Lucha Brothers again from Riley Reed. Another write-in for FTR. I'm trying to see if there's anybody else that
I love the Best Friends. Nobody's mentioned Best Friends yet.
Well, we haven't seen them in a while, right?
Yeah, that's true.
At Rip City Beeve said, I voted for the Young Bucks, but I would have listed Lucha Brothers or Santana and Ortiz as the third option over the Varsity Blondes, regardless of what their current ratings might be. I just threw it out there because I threw them in because when they were at Warrior Wrestling, like 3 weeks ago at this point, we do pre-show meet and greets, and all of talent get these different tables. You can go stand in line. The line for the Varsity Blondes was like 5 times the size of anybody else there. So I had just seen firsthand how popular the Varsity Blondes were, and that's why I wanted to throw them in the poll to give them a test. So
that's very cool.
Let's see here. Rob Humphrey, it's the Lucha Brothers. Come on. Daniel Price. If Gorillas of Destiny show up there, they'll be the best tag team in AEW. I wonder how long it is until we see GOD in AEW. Yeah, their dad was just there. Their brother was just there.
I mean, I feel like it's inevitable, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do. I think GOD will be there. All right, and lastly here, before we wrap it up, Brian Bills, 1417. I'm follower number 1145. Damn. Hey, but you know what, Brian? That's also a very special number, 1145. And you know what? If you're 1146, it's also a very special number. All right. Hey, what a lively show here today, everybody. I want to thank you, Brian, so much. We're going to be back tomorrow. I'll be joined by Paul Pratt, and we got such a great reaction on Monday for part 1 of Paul as Pollo Del Mar interviewing Renee and her baby Nora. It's the first interview Nora has done since she has been brought into this world with Mama Bear. And so we're going to blow it out tomorrow. We're going to have Paul Pratt co-host, and we're going to have Pollo Del Mar's interview with Renee Paquette part 2. So Paul and Pollo, little Cactus Jack McFoley action here tomorrow on the show. I'm very excited about that.
How cool is that?
It is pretty cool, man. Like, yeah. I'm really loving this show right now, Brian. We do some fun stuff here, man. We do some real fun stuff with the Wrestling Inc. Daily. And so we'll have that. And then if you support the Wrestling Inc. Daily, support Wrestling Inc. We're on all the socials, the Wrestling Inc. podcast, just like this at night after the big shows, also on all podcast platforms, just like the Daily. And a couple housekeeping things on me personally before I throw to you, Brian. We are going to be doing, or I'm going to be doing a party at Replay Lincoln Park for the debut of AEW Rampage. That's going to be on August 13th. It is in conjunction with Warner Media and AEW. They're sending all kinds of swag, shirts, coasters, posters, all kinds of AEW Rampage stuff to the bar. So if you come out, it's free. You can watch Rampage with other Chicago fans. It's the week before the United show. We can get that party going. We're going to have drink specials. and I'll just give you AEW stuff. Like, I don't know if there's a better, it's free and you walk away with AEW stuff. So come to the bar, right? And also, Pro Wrestling for Life, me and Sean Waltman, we have moved to Wednesdays. The podcast is out right now. We're debuting on Fight. We're going to be there every Wednesday now at 3 p.m. Eastern on Fight. Huge show this week. We have the King, Nick Gage, and we have new GCW champion Matt Cardona. I have been chasing a Nick Gage interview for years, and he accepted it because it was with Sean and not because it was with me. And that is very obvious in the interview that he is a big fan of Sean's. And so I'm really, really proud of that show. Go listen to Pro Wrestling for Life. It's on all podcast platforms. And again, it'll debut on Fight here at 3 p.m. EST. All right. Brian, what do you want to plug for put over here to wrap up the show today?
Head over to my website, brianwohl.com, to get tickets for my show next week at Flappers Comedy Club at 10 p.m. on Thursday, August 12th. At 8 p.m., they got Brian Posehn, very hilarious. So you can come in at 8, see Brian, stay for the 10, and then you see me. On my show, we got great people, too. We got Justine Marino from Funny Dance Show on E! We got Jamie Costa, the guy that does that unbelievable Robin Williams impression that you guys saw on the internet. He's amazing. I'm trying to think of who else is on the show. So many great people. Come on out and see me at Flappers in Burbank.
I am a huge Brian Posehn fan, and I am an even bigger Brian Wohl fan.
So, oh man, it's going to be a great night in Burbank.
Go support go support the Bryans in Burbank, everybody. Flappers.
Yeah.
All right. Hey, thank you all. I think I've thanked everybody a million times at this point. I'm just in such a great mood. Everything's been happening, and it's all going very, very well. So I really, really sincerely appreciate all the support out there. I am at Nick_Hausman. Thank you all so much for tuning in. I'll talk to you tomorrow. And remember, if you winked, you didn't miss it.